There is a fire the body carried before it knew it was carrying something dangerous. It rose without permission, without calculation, without apology. When you have Lilith in the 5th house, she is pointing at that fire. She is pointing at the moment it first leapt outward and met the hand that moved to extinguish it. Before you learned that your fire was too much, there was only a moment. The moment the flame rose and the air changed. Not with violence, not with declaration, with something quieter and far more permanent. The stillness that followed your burning, the eyes that looked away. The silence that arrived where wonder should have been. And the body, faithful and young, received the teaching the way dry wood receives a different kind of fire, completely and all at once, until what remained was not the flame that had leapt outward, but the ash of having learned to keep it in. Too much, too loud, too bright for the room you were standing in. And so the fire learned what it learned, long before the mind arrived to name the lesson, long before you could have known you were being taught to fear your own heat. Some bodies answer by learning to perform the flame. They become the one who shines on cue, bright when brightness is permitted, warm when warmth is welcome, offering a fire so carefully controlled that no one could ever be burned by it. They dazzle, they charm, they illuminate every room they enter. And somewhere beneath the performance, the real fire sits untouched, still waiting, still unlit. Other bodies answer by burying the ember entirely. They become the one who dims without being asked, who swallows the impulse before it can rise, who keeps the creating, the playing, the burning hidden in the dark where no one can reach it. Not because the fire went out, but because they learned, young and certain, that the safest flame is the one no one else can see. Two different spells cast over the same extinguished moment. One performs the fire so well it forgets what the real thing felt like. The other guards it so carefully it begins to wonder if it was ever there at all. Both are still holding their breath, still waiting to see if this time the flame will be allowed to live. This is the mountain when Lilith stands in the 5th house. Not simply that you were told to dim yourself, not simply that your fire made others uncomfortable, something older and quieter than either. The belief, burned into the flesh before memory began, that your fire is not a gift the world is waiting to receive, but a danger it has already learned to fear. What burns in you will burn others. What leaps in you will leap too far. What lives most fully in you is the very thing that will drive them away. And so the mind, ever faithful to the wound, learned to do what the hand that moved to extinguish it never had to. It became its own darkness, its own smothering, its own slow withdrawal of air. If I keep the fire small enough, perhaps I will be allowed to remain in the room. This is the shadow. Not because the fire was ever dangerous, but because somewhere in the marrow of you, burning stopped feeling like aliveness and began feeling like a risk you could not afford to take. And here, exactly here, the initiation begins. Lilith does not come to protect your flame. She asks you to walk backward through the ash, through the performance, through the dimming, through every moment you swallowed the fire before anyone else could extinguish it, to the body that existed before it learned that its burning was something the world needed to survive. This is not punishment. This is a summoning to stop performing a fire safe enough for others to stand beside. A call to stop burying the ember in the dark, where only you can feel its heat. And beneath all of it, a pull toward the truest freedom there is. Not burning brighter, not burning safer, burning without asking the room for permission. The choice to stop looking away. The choice to see what Lilith has been pointing toward all along. You can keep offering a flame so controlled it has forgotten its own nature. You can keep guarding the ember so carefully it never becomes what it was always meant to be. Or you can turn toward what has been waiting beneath both. The fire that rose before you knew it was dangerous. The one that leapt before you learned to hold it back. But if you stay, if you choose to ask the questions that remake you, when did you first learn that your fire made the room uncomfortable? What have you kept unlit or hidden in performance to be granted permission to remain? And what becomes possible if you finally allow the flame to rise without waiting to see whose hand moves toward it? Because Lilith has never asked you to burn more carefully. She has only ever asked one thing. Are you willing to let the fire be what it has always been? Because the moment you answer, the ash begins to stir. And what was never truly extinguished begins, quietly, to burn again.